All right, so pretty much today this is going to be like a day for review, so we can get caught up. We still haven't finished the different ways of solving a quadratic equation. We've got through 3 ways so far. The first one, factoring. The second one, using the quadratic formula. And the third one, using the completing the square. We have 2 more. Have you noticed that we haven't really got into the graphing part? We show the graph using the factoring, but I still haven't given you all the parts of the quadratic function yet. We're going to get into that. That's the 4th way. And there's one more way, which is by square roots. And we'll see those as soon as we finish with this. So with that said, our objective for today, I can solve and graph quadratic equations by factoring, quadratic formula, and completing the square. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. I can solve and graph quadratic equations by factoring, quadratic formula, and completing the square. So, like I said, we already know how to do these 2, and this one we got some practice also in, but today we're going to do a little bit more sense disturbance in the force. So with that said, we know what quadratic equations are. We know our steps. So I'm going to go straight to continue here. Copy this one down and label it example number 5, and copy x squared plus 16x equals negative 15. It goes on the top left of your paper. Yes, example 5. All right, here we go. So let's do this together, just to make sure we're on top of things. So we're doing this by completing the square. Tell your neighbor which way we're doing it. Okay, so here we go. Step 1. Set the quadratic equation in standard form. Before you do that, everybody look up, please. Did you guys notice that they already eliminated the constant for us? The constant is no longer with these 2 terms. It's now on the other side of the equation. Do you guys see it? It's called a constant once again because it doesn't have a variable to multiply it. And the dividing by the leading coefficient, do you notice that the leading coefficient is 1? So therefore, pretty much, they already did this step, and this step for us. So what step are we on? 4. So therefore, get it? Therefore, what is b? 16. So we're going to add b over 2, which is 16 over 2, and all that squared. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. 16 over 2 squared. What's that? Yeah, we're doing it together. So we bring everything else down. We got x squared plus 16x equals negative 15, and then that. So let's simplify this. What is 16 divided by 2? What is 8 squared? So therefore that turns into 64. This turns into 64. I bring everything else down. So we got x squared plus 16x plus 64 equals negative 15 plus 64. So step 4 is done. Next step, we're going to step 5, factor. So at this point, check this out. All we do is this. What is square root of x squared? X. Square root of 64? 8. And here, we don't even need to think about it. All we have to look at the middle term and look at the sign. If this is a positive, this is a positive. If this was a negative, then guess what? It's a negative, and then you just write it like this. To the second power, we bring this down. Let's see, 64 minus 15 is 49. Not yet? Okay. Oh. Okay, pens down really quick. Let me just elaborate on a couple of things here. Now, some of you are looking at me like, Mr. Q, I don't understand why this just turns into this. We don't have to do anything about it. Because if we look at it, we have x squared plus 16x plus 64. I said, once we have a perfect square, all we need to know is the pattern. The pattern is if we get the square root of the first, the square root of the last, if we multiply this, what do we get this? 8x, and if we double that, it should give us the middle term. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which tells us that we can write this as x plus 8 times x plus 8. And if I multiply it, I should get this. It's just a pattern. That's why you're saying, so what happened to the middle term? It's gone. Why? Because we're already getting our factors. But instead of writing all this out and doing all this, I just go square root of x squared is x, square root of 64 is 8. And since I know that this is a perfect square already, all I have to do is worry about this sign, and I just write it in here, and this is squared. Everybody caught up to there? Okay, let me go back to it then. So now we're here. Now, check this out. Before I go to the next step, you're still paying attention. What is square root of 25? 5. How else can I write 25? 5 to the second power. So therefore, square root of that, it still gives me what? So pretty much what we're saying is that what cancels a squared? A square root. This cancels that. And we're left with what? 5. Let me show you again. Square root of 49 could be written as square root of 7 squared. And this cancels this, so this is what? 7. Everybody following so far? So therefore, with that said, what cancels this squared? Square root. That's why for step 6, what does it say? Square root. So therefore, we do square root here to cancel that squared, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. Are we there? Okay, do that step. Let me erase this. So, the square root is canceled with the squared. What do we have left? X plus 8 equals, check this out, square root of 49. 7, but we need to write plus minus 7. Now we just solve for x. To leave x by itself, what do? Subtract 8 to each side. We're left with x equals minus 8 plus minus and 7. Now, at this point, do you see that? Do I have any radicals here? No. When we get to any problem that does not have any radicals at the end, we write two equations. When we get at the end of these kind of problems and we have a problem that does not have a radical at the end at this point, you write two equations. You write two equations because it doesn't have a radical right here anymore. So you remember what I just said? So my first equation is going to be for my positive 7. So I'm going to write x equals minus 8. And then what do I write? Plus 7. My second equation is going to be for my negative. X equals minus 8 minus 7. Then I simplify to get my root. X equals what? Negative 1. And this one, x equals negative 15. And these are called roots or zeros. Okay, and if I was to ask you to graph this, what are my roots or my x-intercepts? Negative 1, negative 15. And looking at the equation, what is my y-intercept? We don't know because this is on the other side, but we can bring it over here by adding 15. So it's what? Positive 15. Okay? Questions with this process? We good? Let's do another one. Flip your paper over. We'll do another one completing the square, and then we're going to do the other 2 forms. Okay. On the top left, here goes another one. Example 6. Let's do it together again. I'm going to go again pretty quick, so make sure tomatoes. X squared plus 10x minus 9. X squared plus 10x minus 9. I'm sorry. Equals negative 9. I'm sorry. All right. So let's see. Do we have a leading coefficient here? No, and it looks like the constant is already on the other side, so they did step 1, 2, and 3 for us. So step 4, what is my b? 10. So then we're going to add b over 2 squared, which is 10 over 2 squared to each side. Add 10 over 2 squared. Bring everything else down. We got the x squared, the 10x, the equal, and then minus 9. Let's simplify these. What is 10 divided by 2? 5 squared is 25. This is 25. And I bring everything else down. X squared plus 10x equals negative 9 plus 25. Okay, so we're done with step 4. Step 5. Factor. So once again, square root of x squared. X, square root of 25. Oh, this was plus 25. Square root of 25. 5. What is the middle term, the sign? A plus, so this is x plus 5 squared. Let's simplify this. 25 minus 9. 16. All right, so we're done with the factoring. What's the next step? Square root. So therefore, what cancels the square? The square root. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. We're left with x plus 5 equals plus minus what? 4. Are we done? No, there's still a number next to x, so what do? Subtract 5, subtract 5. X equals negative 5 plus minus 4. Do we have a radical at the end? No, so therefore we write two equations, one for my positive and one for my negative. So I'm going to start with the positive one. X equals minus 5 plus 4, and my negative is x equals minus 5 minus 4. So what is this root? Negative 1. What is the other root? X equals negative 9. Those are my roots or my zeros. Yeah. Oh, both of them. Both of these, the roots are always the solution to the quadratic equation. Unless it's a word problem, we always go with which one? The positive root. Because usually the word problems are for distances and time. Yeah. Then you did something wrong. Yeah, usually when both are negative and you're doing a word problem, you probably did something wrong in your computation. Okay? Okay, yes? Yes, so I might say solve by 5 different methods. You know what I'm saying? Remember? Okay, who remembers systems of equations? Yay! And I gave you that one quiz that it was solve all 3 different ways? Yeah. Bam! Tie in the house. All right, here we go. So, questions so far on this process. By now I should have clarified any doubts. Are there any other questions? It's fairly straightforward, right? Okay, right now I'm going to do one where we actually end up with a root. So like that, whenever you end up with a root, you can actually compute the decimals. Remember the other day I told you can actually estimate the decimals, or you can leave it as a root form to be exact. So let me go back, turn your paper over. Let's go back to the first one. So we're here. So now we finished completing the square. Let's solve it by factoring. How about that? So the next one up on the right side after that, we're going to solve that by factoring. By factoring? The same one. Yeah. In the middle. Okay, turn the paper over. The first one that we did, it's x squared plus 16x equals negative 15. Are you there? Okay, rewrite it in the middle. Okay? Yeah, the middle one, the middle column. So we got x squared plus 16x equals negative 15. So we're going to solve this by factoring now. Factoring. All right, so let's look at this. In order to solve this by factoring, this has to be a trinomial, doesn't it? Which means we need to make this equal to 0. Yes, so therefore we add 15 to each side, add 15 to each side. This becomes 0 equals, and then we're left with x squared plus 16x plus 15. Is that correct? All right. All right, so from there we open our two parentheses. Since there's no GCF, is there a GCF? No, so let's get our So therefore, what goes on top? 15, and on the bottom we got 16. What factors of 15 add up to 16? 15 and 1. So we factor the first term, x, and we get plus 15 plus 1. You're like, Mr. Q, why don't we just do it like this? Because. All right, what's the next step? Set each factor equal to 0. So we get x plus 15 equal to 0. X plus 1 equal to 0. Okay, and let's solve. Minus 15, minus 15. Oh, I'm sorry. Minus 15. This is minus 1, minus 1. So x equals negative 15 and x equals negative 1. What are those called? Roots or zeros. And once again, that's my solution. My solution. Did we get the same thing that we did over here? Yeah, negative 1 and negative 15. No. We need to graph this, don't we? No. Yay! Graphing. The graph underneath? It fits, right? Yeah. All right. So what are my x-intercepts? Negative 15 and negative 1. What is my y-intercept? Positive 15, which is right here. And my parabola should look something like that. Once again, the reason that we're doing this 3 different ways so that you understand that any of those methods is going to give you the same solution. So that when they ask you to solve a quadratic equation and they ask you use any method, you choose whichever method you want. Does that make sense? Yeah. Unless you want to do them all different ways, that's fine. All right. What? Okay, we'll do that right now. All right, yeah. The first one, this one, is completing the square. Completing the square. This one is called by factoring. Or if you want to call it by the Power Rangers. All right, so does everybody know what to do with this one with the factoring? Turn your paper over and do this one by factoring, please. Do it by yourself, please. Okay, so by factoring this one, let's see, I'm going to get it started. You should be almost done. I need to set it in standard form and equal to 0, so that means I need to get rid of that 9 from that other side by adding 9 to each side. This cancels. We're left with 0 equals, and this is x squared plus 10x plus 9. So far, so good. From there, is there a GCF so I can factor? No. I open two parentheses, and I factor the first term, open my Power Ranger. We got 9 as my product, and I got 10 as my sum. What are the factors of 9 that add up to 10? What is it? 9 and 1, so this is x plus 9, x plus 1. Set each factor equal to 0, x plus 9 equal to 0, x plus 1 equal to 0. I solve for x, so I subtract 9 from each side, so this is x equals 9. Subtract 1 from each side, x equals negative 1. Hence, if you got that by yourself? Oh, negative 9. Yeah, I did that on purpose to see if. All right. And these are my roots or zeros, and those are my solutions. Is that correct? All right, let's graph this, and our graph should look something like, let's see, I'm going to do a small graph over here. My root is negative 9, and the other one is negative 1. My roots, zeros, these are my x-intercepts also. What's my y-intercept? Positive 9, it's right here. Okay, right there and right there, yes. Yes. Everybody got it? Questions, comments so far? We good? Autographs? No? All right. So, set that aside, and we have one more method, don't we? Which is what? Quadratic formula. Yay! So, let's turn back to the previous problem. So then, on the last column to the right, we'll rewrite the equation, and let's do that by quadratic formula, your favorite. Yay! So then this one we're going to solve by using the QF, quadratic formula. X squared plus 16x equals negative 15. So let's see. First step, it needs to be in standard form. Is it in standard form? No, we have the 15 over here, so that means we need to add 15 to each side. We're left with x squared plus 16x plus 15 equal to 0. Next, identify A, B, and C. Remember, standard form should look like this. AX squared plus BX plus C equal to 0. Does that look like that? Yes. So by looking at it, we know that A is 1, B is 16, and C is 15. So we got our A, B, C. Here it is. Okay. Next, write the quadratic formula and substitute. Yay, our favorite. X equals minus B plus minus square root B squared minus 4AC over 2A. From there, in order for me to avoid mistakes when substituting, I always rewrite it, but all the variables I open parentheses. Open parentheses for all variables. All variables, open parentheses, and then go back and substitute. And I noticed the mistakes you guys did when we had those cumulative tests with the very first two problems when we simplified expressions. It was on your substitution because you didn't open parentheses. Okay? So let's see, what is A? 1, and A is found next to the 4 and next to the 2, so one goes here, one goes there. What is B? 16, which is here and then here. And what is C? 15, which is there. All right? So, let's see, let's start simplifying. What is negative times 16? Negative 16 plus minus square root. What is 16 squared? 256. What is negative times a positive and a positive? Negative. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 15 is 60 over 2. I'm going to go this way to the right so I can fit that in there. So let's see. Negative 16 plus minus square root. What is 256 minus 60? 1 what? 190.
194.
Make up your melon. 196. Yeah, over 2. Yeah, if you add 196 plus 60 without what's left, 256. All right. So, let's see. What is the square root of 196? So x equals minus 16 plus minus 14 over 2. Do we have a radical here left? No, so we write two equations. One for my positive. This is x equals negative 16 plus 14 over 2. And one for my negative. X equals negative 16 minus 14 over 2. So let's see. Negative 16 plus 14. That's what? Negative 2 over 2. So what is my first root? Negative 1. Did we get the same thing as the other one? Yay! Let's look at this one. What is negative 16 and negative 14? That's negative 30 over 2. What is negative 30 over 2? Negative 50. And once again, we should have the same answer as the rest. Those are my roots. Zeros. You know the process. Turn it over. Do the same thing with the other one, please. Man, look at that. How beautiful artwork. Wow, look at that. I should frame it. I should frame it and sell it at the farmer's market. Yeah. Okay, see if you can do that by yourself in the back with the other one, please. Go. All right. So for this one, once again, we already know how to solve it by completing the square, by factoring, and you already finished the quadratic formula, right? Okay. Let's go to example number 7 on a different paper. Save those examples because you're going to need them for tonight's homework, please. Because tonight's homework requires 3 of those problems to be solved 3 different ways. Yay. Okay. So, yeah. Let me go. Let's see. Oh, it's over here. I didn't even see it. It's on the other side. Okay, my toolbar. I didn't even see it. Copy this next one down, please. Example number 7. Number 7. On a different piece of paper. You don't have to fold it. This one we're only doing it by completing the square. We're going to practice some more. 5x squared plus 19x equals 4. 5x squared plus 19x equals 4. No? Oh, wow. What? That's all right. Nobody's perfect. Okay, here we go. So, let's look at it. Number 1, standard form, but don't they already have the constant on the other side of the equation? Does everybody see that? So they already did step 4, which means they already checked for step 1, and all we need to do is go back and do step 2. Divide the entire equation by what? The leading coefficient, which is 5. So then we're left with x squared plus 19 over 5x equals 4/5. Yay, fraction. All right, here we go. So we're done with step 2. They did step 3 for us. Let's go to step 4. For step 4, I still see some of you getting confused with this when it comes to fractions. So let's go over this slowly. It says add b over 2 squared. Or in other words, add b divided by 2 squared. So check this out. Don't write this down. Pay attention, please. Pens down. What is b? 19 over 5. And that says over 2 squared. That looks weird, doesn't it? Remember when we did the definition of fractions, we cannot have fractions divided by other fractions? Therefore, I'm going to rewrite this as 19 over 5 divided by 2. This is this. Do we know what to do with this? Yes, this like this. How do we divide fractions? First fraction stays the same. Change it to multiplication and multiply times the reciprocal, which is 1/2. So this becomes what? 19 over 10. So did everybody see what I did here? You didn't see what I did? Once again, b over 2 squared. What is b? Okay, b is this. Here, let me show you. This is b over 2 squared. Do you see it now? However, we cannot have a fraction over another fraction. That does not go with our definition. Is that correct? So therefore, I rewrite it like this: 19 over 5 divided by 2. And if we divide these, I'm going to make this into a fraction, and then I rewrite it like this. And this becomes that. Are we there? Huh? Oh, no, yeah. I just wanted to show you the inside. Everybody up to right there? So with that said, can I erase this now? Yes. So therefore, bless you. So now that we know where that came from, let's add b over 2 squared to each side. So I'm going to add, what was it? 19 over 10, and that one is squared to each side. Now does everybody know where that came from? Yes. And if you don't know, here it goes again. 19 over 5 divided by 2 becomes 19 over 10. And then we bring everything else down. X squared plus 19 over 5x equals to 4/5. Are we there so far? Yeah. No, because then you're going to end up with a leading coefficient again. All right, so now check this out. Everybody look up. In this case, everybody look up, please. Once again, what did we say cancels a squared? A root. So what cancels this squared? A root. So therefore this is x, and what's left here? 19 over 10, and what is the middle coefficient sign? Plus, so this is x plus 19 over 10 squared. And we got 4/5. This one we do need to raise to the second power. So, Ty, what did we get for this? 361 over 100. Okay? So now check this out. So, yeah, 19 times 19 is 361. 10 times 10 is 100. Are we there? Because that's what the square indicates. Hold on. This is where some of you freaked out last time. I'm going to rewrite this down here. X plus 19 over 10 squared. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just rewriting it because I need to simplify these fractions. To add these fractions, we need a common denominator, don't we? What would be our common denominator? So that means we need to multiply this one times 20 to make it 100, times 20, so this becomes 80. So therefore, 80 plus 361 is what? 441 over 100. And then the next steps and the next steps. Yes? Yeah, well, this one you are going to be able to get the square root because square root of 441 is 21. Square root of 100 is 10. So here we go. Homework. Page 595. Check this out. Numbers 5 through 9 odd. I want those done 3 different ways. And for 33 and 37, just using completing the square. Okay? Turning your homework on your way out, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy your homework. I'll see you guys tomorrow.